In the heart of a glittering city, where neon lights dance on glass towers and laughter from lavish dining halls fills the night, a small figure stands out, fragile, quiet, and forgotten. A young girl, no older than 12, kneels on the cold marble floor of one of the city's most exclusive restaurants. Around her, men and women in tailored suits sip vintage wine and discuss deals worth millions. Silverware clinks softly, waiters move like shadows, but amid this carefully orchestrated luxury, something unexpected happens. Silence begins to fall. The girl holds a violin. It's old, its varnish worn away, the strings dulled by time and struggle. Her dress is simple, her shoes scuffed. She looks out of place among the chandeliers and crystal glasses. Yet there's something in her eyes, not fear, not shame, but quiet strength. A waiter, unsure of what to do, steps forward to ask her to leave. But before he can speak, she lifts her bow. The first note cuts through the air, thin, trembling, almost hesitant. Heads turn, conversations pause. The note hangs there, like a single tear suspended in time. Then, she begins to play. The melody that follows isn't one anyone recognizes. It's not from the grand halls of Vienna or the polished recitals of music academies. It's raw, unrefined, filled with emotion that words could never carry. Every note trembles with something deeper, pain, memory, love, and hope woven into sound. The restaurant, once alive with noise, now holds its breath. Even the hum of the air conditioning seems to fade as her bow glides across the strings. For a moment, the billionaires and celebrities who fill the room are not thinking about profits or prestige. They are remembering something they had long forgotten, the ache of being human. At a corner table, an old businessman puts down his glass. He had built his empire from nothing, but in his climb, he had buried his heart beneath layers of power and deals. Yet as the girl's music rises and falls, something within him stirs. Across the room, a young woman in an elegant black dress wipes a tear she can't explain. A chef, peeking from the kitchen, pauses mid-motion, the smell of truffle and rosemary fading behind the walls of emotion. No one knows who the girl is. No one knows where she came from. But her music tells a story, one that feels painfully familiar to everyone listening. The melody shifts, becoming softer, gentler, like a whisper between two souls. In her mind, she sees her mother, a woman with tired eyes and calloused hands, who once played the same violin under a different sky. Her mother used to tell her, "This instrument doesn't just play music, my love. It speaks when words can't." And when her mother's health began to fail, the violin became their only way to speak to each other. When the medicine ran out, when the rent was due, when the nights were too cold, she played. And her mother would smile, even through pain, saying, "You'll take my song further than I ever could." That promise echoes in her every motion tonight. The girl's bow trembles as she reaches the song's heart, a haunting bridge that climbs and falls like a desperate prayer. Her fingers are small but sure. Her eyes glisten, but she does not cry. She has learned that the world doesn't always reward tears, only strength that refuses to break. A man near the front table, dressed in a navy suit worth more than her entire village, feels a lump rise in his throat. He has bought everything, comfort, respect, luxury, but not this feeling. He leans forward, unable to explain the tightness in his chest. Across from him, his wife, usually composed and radiant, clasps her hands together, eyes fixed on the little girl. For the first time in years, they don't look at each other with polite distance. They share silence, real, heavy, meaningful silence. Then, without warning, the power flickers. The chandelier lights dim, and for a brief moment, the entire room glows only in the golden candlelight that flickers across the tables. The girl keeps playing. In that fragile glow, her figure looks ethereal, almost otherworldly, like a spirit drawn from the music itself. Her shadow stretches across the marble, merging with the reflections of diamonds and champagne. When the final note comes, it doesn't end with grandeur. It fades, soft, lingering, and incomplete, as if the song itself refuses to let go. The bow lowers. Her hands tremble. For a few seconds, no one moves. The silence is heavier than applause. Then, slowly, one person stands. It's the old businessman. His voice, cracked with age and emotion, breaks the stillness. "Play again." Others rise too. The waiter who once moved to escort her out now wipes his eyes with the back of his sleeve. A chef brings her a small plate of warm food, setting it gently beside her. Someone places an envelope on the floor near her case. Then another. Soon, the cold marble that had once bruised her knees is covered in banknotes, business cards, and tears. But she doesn't smile. She only nods slightly, clutching her violin close, the same way one might hold the last piece of someone they loved. She knows this isn't charity she's receiving. It's recognition. For the first time, the world has seen her. Outside, as the night deepens, the city hums with life again. But inside that restaurant, something has shifted. The men and women who once measured success by wealth now find themselves thinking about something deeper, about what they've lost in the noise of ambition. The old man walks up to her, his hands shaking. "What's your name, child?" he asks. "Lena," she replies softly. "Where did you learn to play like that?" She looks at the floor. "My mother taught me, before she got sick." He nods, his throat too tight for words. He remembers his own daughter, gone too soon, taken by the same illness he couldn't cure with all his money. In that moment, he realizes something. All his wealth, all his influence, had never given him peace. Yet this girl, with nothing but a worn violin and a mother's memory, had found a way to touch eternity. The restaurant owner, still stunned, steps forward and says, "Lena, you can play here any night you wish. You'll never be turned away again." But Lena shakes her head. "Thank you, sir. I only came to play once." The owner looks confused. "Why only once?" She smiles faintly. "Because my mother asked me to play in a place where hearts had forgotten how to listen. Tonight, I think, they remembered." And with that, she lifts her violin case, nods politely, and walks toward the door. Her small frame disappears into the cold night, swallowed by the city's glow. The door closes softly behind her. For a long time, no one speaks. The diners remain still, their reflections trembling in half-empty glasses. Somewhere outside, faintly, her violin starts again, this time echoing off the streets, carried by the wind. The old man turns to the others. "Do you hear that?" They do. The sound rises, not loud, but strong, defiant. A reminder that greatness doesn't always come wrapped in privilege or applause. Sometimes, it comes in the form of a barefoot child with a violin, reminding the world that beauty is born not from wealth, but from pain transformed into purpose. That night, something remarkable happens. Word spreads online, someone had filmed her performance on their phone. Within hours, millions watch. The world sees the little girl kneeling on marble, her violin trembling with life. Comments flood in, people saying her music healed something they couldn't name. Musicians ask to collaborate. Philanthropists offer scholarships. But Lena remains unseen, her face hidden, her name unknown. She never returns to the restaurant. Weeks later, a letter arrives for the restaurant owner. It's unsigned, except for one word, Lena. Inside is a short note. "Thank you for listening. My mother is at peace now." Enclosed is a single, broken violin string, the one that snapped during her last performance. The owner places it in a glass frame on the wall, under a small engraved plaque, "For those who play from the heart." Years pass. The restaurant becomes famous not just for its luxury, but for its story. Visitors from around the world come, and when they ask about the framed string, the staff simply say, "She reminded us to listen." No one knows where Lena went. Some say she became a composer. Others believe she travels, playing in orphanages and shelters, teaching children that music isn't about fame, it's about feeling. But wherever she is, her story continues to ripple outward, changing lives in ways that can't be measured in views or money. Because sometimes, a single act, a single song, can awaken something that the world, in all its noise and pride, forgot it still had, a heart that can feel, and a soul that can remember. And it all began with a little girl, on a cold marble floor, and a violin that refused to stay silent.